Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. For this video, I'm going to show how to open and read from a file in programming. However, I'm going to do it a little bit different. First, I'm going to code it in Python. Then I'm going to code it in C. And the reason for me doing that, I want to show how easier and faster it is when coding in Python or doing things in Python. However, C and C++ is still a very powerful programming language. A lot of companies still hire for C and C++ developers, but Python is way easier and faster to do things when it comes to the programming world. So let me go ahead and show how I'm going to get this done in Python first, and then I'm going to show an example of how to get it done in C. So I have this file on my system. This file here is just a text file. So this file is just have some lines of code in it, right? So I want to open up this file. So the first thing that I want to do in Python is to make a variable to hold the data in that file. So I'm going to call my variable file, and then I'm going to use the open function. And instead of the open function, I want to paste the path where that file is located. So I'm going to go back to the file, and then I'm going to right click and press copy as path. And I'm going to paste it inside of the open function, right? And then I want this file for reading only. In Python and in C as well, we know that the backslash is a special character, right? Because we have \n, \r. So when the system see \u, they're looking for some kind of special character. So we have to eliminate that. So for this, we have to use 2 backslashes for each one of them, right? If we don't, we will get some Unicode type error for special characters. So each of the backslashes, you have to make them double. And the next thing we're going to do is just print what's in the file. So we're going to say print, we're going to use a print function, and instead of the parameters, we're going to say file.read. And we want to use the read function for that. And then we're just going to close the file. So we're going to say file.close. This is all you have to do to open a file in Python. Just 3 lines of code. Now, if I run this, it should print what's in my file. Now, if I open up my file again, right, I'm going to minimize this. You should see here, it's the same thing what's in my main.txt. Very simple, right? Just 3 lines of code. Now, let's write the exact same code using C. So the first thing, we want to include stdio.h. Let's also include stdlib as well, .h, and we want to include string.h. So just the 3 lines of code right here is just to bring in packages in C. And literally that is Python full code for opening a file. But let's keep going. Now let's make our main function. So int main, and then we're going to have a return 0. Okay, I'm going to make a file pointer. So I'm going to say file, and I'm going to name my pointer fp. Then I'm going to make another variable to hold the path for where the file is located. So I'm going to make that a char pointer, so a const pointer. You cannot really change that path. So I'm going to have it as a constant, and I'm going to make it a char pointer. So I'm going to say char star path. I'm going to call this variable path, and in here I'm going to paste the path where the file is located. As we did for the Python example, I'm going to right click and come down to copy as path, and inside of here I'm going to paste. Now you have to do the same thing like what we did for the Python file. Okay, so I'm going to, we have to make the backslash double, or else we're going to get an error. So this is the path to my file. The next thing that you have to do is use the FP, which is my pointer, and have it to open my file. So I'm going to say FP, and it's going to equal to fopen. And inside of fopen, I want the path, and I want to open this file for reading. Okay, FP, this pointer here, I'm going to assign it to fopen, and which is this function, and I want to open the path. Okay, so go in this path and open the file for reading, right? If you want to write, you will put W. After this, we have to check to see if the file is in that path or not before it opens the file, because we cannot open a file that doesn't exist, right? So we have to check to see if the file exists or if the file is in that folder or not. So to do that, we're going to write an if statement. So I'll say if not. So if the file is not open, or if the file is not there, then we're just going to print. So in C, we're going to use the printf function. So we're going to say the file does not exist. Else, if the file exists, we want to read the file. Now here you have to declare some variables to hold the content, what's in the file, right? So let's do this. We're going to create a char, and we're going to call this char array buffer. Okay, so this variable will hold the content that is in the file, right? This is an array, and then we're going to print the contents of the file. So I'm going to say contents in the file. And so this variable array buffer is going to hold the contents that is in the file. And from there, we're going to write a loop, a while loop. So to read the content in the file and print it for us. So I'm going to say while, and I'm going to use fget, right? So fget is going to read a line from the file into the buffer. The file content is stored in this, and fget is going to read the file contents, what's inside of here. So inside of fget, I'm going to need some parameters. So I want you to read what's inside of this variable array underscore buffer, and I also want to get the size of function, and instead of the size of function, I want the array buffer. And the next parameter will be fp, and I'm going to close this off here, and then I'm going to put my open and closing braces. All right, so you see, so far we have written a couple lines of code well, and this is in C. Now I'm going to keep going. We have to print what's in the file. So I'm going to say printf, and for my printf, we're going to use the specifier, which is %s, and then we're going to read what's inside of array buffer, right? Because remember, that's what hold the contents of the file. And after we do this, remember, we must close the file. So we're going to use fclose, and then this is going to be fp, which is we want to close the file. So remember, the file here, we use it to open. So fp, we use fopen to open that file from this path. Now we have to close the file, and then we have a return statement, right? So let's go ahead and run the program. Okay, so we have one fail. It's saying here, this function or variable may be unsafe considering fopen instead fopen underscore f. Okay, we don't want to use fopen, so to avoid that, let me just use define underscore crt underscore secure underscore no underscore warnings. We're going to use this to disable the depreciation warning that we get here, because we got a depreciation warning. It's asking us to use fopen underscore safe underscore s, which is a more safer function. But let's just use this to disable this for now. And let's go ahead and build a solution. and let's go ahead and run it. Right? So you see here, we open up this exact same file. Okay, this was a file we had in Python that we just opened up, and we opened this file using these lines of code. Now, if I go back to the Python code, this is all you have to write to open and work with a file in Python. As I said previously, if you want to work with data, it has to be Python. If you want to do anything else, like video game development, embedded systems, autonomous, like self-driven cars, those are heavy on C and C++. But you see how many lines of code you have to write to do something so simple. Now, if my students ask me, I will always tell them C, C++, because you get a deeper understanding how programming works. You get a deeper understanding how to code when you code in C and C++. But Python is really easy, fast-going language to learn. Right? So this is all for this video. Hope you have learned something. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.